Hello YouTube, this is Aaron from Star Kicker. I wanted to explain to you how I came about the process for creating this album. So there are a lot of sounds posted on various websites of NASA recordings or observatories that have recorded radio emissions and a lot of different sounds coming from the planets. So what I did was in my multi-track program, I used a feature called Audio Snap that allows you to replace anything audio with MIDI notes. So usually we use it for drum replacement. So when your drums don't sound that good, you can replace them with sampled drums by running your recorded tracks through the Audio Snap program. It translates what you've recorded into MIDI notes by looking at the waveform and seeing the peaks and the hits, and then gives you a MIDI track that you can then put into any instrument. So anything that takes MIDI, like a synthesizer, a drum machine, anything can play the MIDI notes. So instead of using drum sounds, I just replaced it with things like Moog bass and Ultra Nova, which was the primary synth in this project. So here's what we started with. I had sounds like this. This is off the NASA site entitled Saturn Eerie Sounds. Definitely creepy. So I translated that, and here's what it sounds like. That same sound. This is the same sound, but done as a Moog bass. Alright, so I'm going to back off the Saturn sound. As you can tell, it makes for a pretty chaotic, glitchy, kind of dubstep-esque sound. It's not changing pitch though, because it's purely rhythmical. Alright, so inside my recording program, you can activate an arpeggiator that will take those notes and let it trigger an octave, 2 octaves, up to 8 octaves of an arpeggio. So here's what it sounds like when you activate the arpeggiator. It's much more cohesive now, even though it's still rather random. All the pauses are its own pauses. Alright, so then I do things like I would layer this. I'd go to another synth sound. And this is what it sounds like with the Prophet synth. This is unarpeggiated. This is arpeggiated. It's set at, I believe, half notes. So you can choose how fast the arpeggio cycles. Alright, and then this sound, which is the Ultra Nova. This is arpeggiated as well. Alright, unarpeggiated. So if I let all these run at the same time, it's pretty crazy. Here's all of them. Oh wait, that's... So the bass line's still arpeggiated. So if I unarpeggiate it, it's all... So this is all created from one sound's MIDI track. Usually I start with the bass line or the drums first, just because I want to hear what the rhythm is. And it's really interesting how each planet has its own unique rhythm. So this would be the drum sound, or the kick. All right, so this is with it non-arpeggiated. It's pretty frantic. So I typically will do juxtapositions of arpeggiated and non-arpeggiated drums. Most of the time, most of these movements I'm using in arpeggiated form behind the top layers, which would be unarpeggiated. So this is quite insane in some ways, quite normal in other ways. So I'm going to arpeggiate the top sound. So all of these are now, the bass line, the Prophet, and the Ultra Nova synths are all arpeggiated. So in fact, everything is arpeggiated. So it wrote its own song. This is all from one Saturn Erie, or rather radio emissions sound. Now, so I would layer it with different sounds. I'd go and I'd find things like this one, which is Saturn's rings. All right, which is pretty staticky, but it's got a lot of rhythm in it, so it might turn into a cool 4-bar segment, or it might turn into a cool hi-hat riff. This is the sound of Saturn's lightning. So it was a huge lightning storm on Saturn. That could be cool for snare hits, or, I mean, really anything melodic, since it's purely rhythmical. So in order to get these things to change keys, sometimes they'll do it naturally, and other times I would have to cut up 8-bar, 16-bar segments where I would transpose each movement. So it would be the rhythm, but I would move it into a new chord or key, just to give it some movement. So the rhythms were purely driven by the planets, and the chord movement was chosen by me. So I'm functioning more as an arranger, and I like how it came out. So the album is due out sometime in March. If you guys check out the bottom of this post, there should be a date. It will be available on iTunes and Bandcamp. So thanks for watching, like, and subscribe.